What is going on, everybody? Noah with Madison Angling, and welcome to my new video series. It's way too freaking cold outside to go fishing and film ice fishing videos, and it's too cold to go in the garage and film fishing videos. So, welcome to the spare bedroom. So, like I said, it is really cold out, and I'm sure anybody in the Muskie range knows how cold it is outside. So, I have not been out ice fishing, filming ice fishing videos. I have been guiding a little bit, but I figured this was a great opportunity to jump on the bandwagon a little bit later than everybody else and do a quick summary of my top 5 baits from the 2020 muskie season. I will preface this in saying that no, I didn't fish any like super new and crazy, exciting baits for 2020. These are things that have kind of stood the test of time, and these are the ones that caught the most fish this year. And some of them will probably not be super exciting, but regardless, I want to show you guys what worked, and let's jump right in. Alrighty, the first bait in the lineup is one of my favorite baits because it's so versatile, and that's something you'll probably notice across the board here is how versatile a lot of these baits are. I am a fan of multitaskers, things that I can do multiple different presentations with and not have to bring as many baits with me. And that is the Lee Lures Mini Boilermaker. You guys have probably seen this a lot on this channel. I know it's probably not that exciting, but this is an awesome bait, especially early in the season. End of May through June, this is an awesome bait. The small profile makes it ideal for early season fishing. And the really nice thing is the wood body and that single Colorado blade give this thing a lot of lift. So you can fish it right under the surface, right over the tops of weeds, and not really have to fight the weeds a whole lot. There's nothing worse than reeling a bucktail through weeds, right? And the other added bonus to this, at least from a guiding perspective, is the single blade on here. And basically the design of this bait is that as soon as it hits the water and you start cranking, that blade starts running. And as a guide, that's awesome because it makes this bait absolutely user-proof in the sense that anybody can fish this. Doesn't matter if it's your first time muskie fishing or you've done it all your life. You can cast this thing out, reel it in, and catch a muskie on it. So we caught quite a few fish on this bait. This one is a seasoned veteran. This thing has been around for at least, I think, 3 seasons now. And it's been rebuilt like 3 or 4 times. The thing is just trashed, but it keeps catching fish, so we're going to keep running it. So kind of an oldie, but a goodie. This thing put a bunch of fish in the boat this year, not only on video, but also with customers. Absolutely love this thing. If you don't have one, you definitely owe it to yourself to pick one of these up. It's a very versatile bait, especially early season. So continuing with the bucktail theme here, I might have kind of screwed up in the title of this video because I had a tie between 2 bucktails. One of them is a little bit newer. The other one's been around for quite a while. And I guess this is technically 6 baits. Sorry guys, I figured that you probably wouldn't be too upset if I threw another bait in there, and if I said my top 6 baits, that sounds kind of weird. I don't like that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to leave it at 5 and pretend that it's just 5, but there's a bonus. There's a bonus bait. That's what we're going to call it. It's our bonus bait. So my next bait, my second bait in the lineup here, is the Biteback Misfit. This is a stagger bladed bucktail, single hook on here, and it's actually relatively compact. For something that has a little bit bigger blades on it, it's a pretty compact bucktail. And this thing has been awesome. This is a great midsummer, early fall bait. When fish are charged up going for big blades, I've had a lot of success with this thing. It runs great. It's another bait that just starts and goes. You don't really have to fight with it, pumping the rod to get the thing to go. It just bites and takes off. It has a nice compact profile, so when the fish eat it, they eat it. They pretty much always get hooks when they hit this thing. And I'm a really big fan of these, the Misfit blades, if you will, the offsets, the staggers. Wow, I really struggled there for a second. Don't judge me. Anyway, I really like stagger bladed bucktails because it's something different, especially fishing where I do, where there's a ton of fishing pressure. These fish see so many baits and they see so many off-the-shelf baits that having something a little different can trigger a lot more bites. So something that has a different thump, different vibration, a little different profile, that can give you an edge over some of these kind of more educated fish. So the Misfits from Biteback, these things are absolutely awesome. And it is a relatively newer bait, but for sure, check these things out. They are absolutely phenomenal. And the bait that it basically tied with, I didn't want to say it replaced it because it hasn't replaced it. It's about 50-50. And that is the good old Esox Assault single 9. And if you look at them, they're just about the same bait. They're very similar in size. Obviously, they both have a number 9 for the larger blade on here. Just a little bit different design. This one I've been fishing a lot longer. And if you've noticed kind of this general color scheme here, green and black, black and black, another green and black. Those are just my confidence colors in Madison. Color I'm not too worried about, but those, they just work, so why change it? But yeah, the Esox Assault single 9, again, another kind of compact, slightly bigger bucktail. Again, nowhere close to like a double 10, double 12, 13s, getting into ridiculously big blades, but it has that slightly bigger profile that the fish seem to like a little bit more, especially with blades going into midsummer. And it's compact, and the single blade, again, something different. It has a little more thump, and it starts up and runs beautifully. So this is a bait that anybody can throw, and I feel confident that they can throw this pretty much all day and not get burned out throwing it. So this is one of my absolute go-tos for guiding. You could go out and cast this bait all day, and you will likely catch a fish. I mean, if you're on the right spots, you have things working in your favor, it just gets eaten. So it had to make it on the list. It's an oldie but goodie, but man, this thing has caught so many stinking fish, so we had to add it to the list. Next is a bait that I don't think gets a lot of love, especially in videos like this, because it's been around for a long time and everybody has them, and some people throw them more than others, and that is the humble Medusa. That is the Chaos Tackle Medusa. This is a mid Medusa, and this is actually an old one. Kind of an old school perch, and this thing, I don't know if you're going to see it on my camera, probably not. This thing's been absolutely annihilated, and the beauty of this bait is it's a multitasker. Again, I like baits that I can do different things with, and this is like the perfect example of a multitasker, in the sense that you can fish this in deeper water, casting off of a break, off of deeper structure, targeting fish that are kind of out in no man's land more or less. Fish that are targeting suspended bait fish, and what I use it most of the time for is ripping across the tops of weeds and triggering a reaction strike. So again, fishing where I fish, we deal with a lot of weeds, a lot of milfoil, a lot of nasty stuff that's really not a whole lot of fun to throw bucktails through. But on days when you just can't get fish to go, if you've thrown everything at them, you've thrown dive and rise, jerk baits, topwater, bucktails, you just can't get fish to go, a lot of times the rubber comes through clutch. And there's a couple different ways that I kind of like to fish it through the weeds. One of them is just keeping the rod up, kind of high sticking it, working it just under the surface like a jig. And the other way is maybe a little less conventional, and probably what most people's experiences are with dealing with weeds and big rubber baits, is just ripping it through the weeds. And I'll be very selective about where I do that. I'm looking for kind of patchy weeds, not just a giant dense clump of weeds. There probably isn't going to be a fish sitting in that, but they'll sit in those little pockets, these little open water pockets, and basically just ripping this thing past them. And a lot of the bites we get on these are just savage. They're absolutely savage. They can't help themselves. They just absolutely obliterate the thing. And the beauty of a Medusa is that it's just, there's really no wrong way to fish it. And there's so many options too. There's so many color options, sizes. This is a mid Medusa. I will go up to a regular Medusa fishing around the Madison chain. I don't really throw anything much bigger than that, because most of the fish in the chain are eating stuff that are, yay big-ish. They're not eating, giant baits. They're not eating whitefish and, things like that. It's mostly panfish, some sheephead, white bass, things like that. So no need to really upsize your bait tremendously and basically just beat the crap out of yourself all day throwing a giant bait. So the mid up to a regular Medusa was an awesome bait again this year. Definitely one of my favorites. All right, and because I want to keep this sort of short and sweet here, the grand finale. And if you guys have watched any of the Madison angling videos, you've probably seen this thing in action, and that is the Lee Lures Flap Tail. This happens to be the Flap 9. There are 3 different sizes of this. This is the 9. There is a 10, which is even bigger than this, which is just ridiculous. And the regular flap tail, and this is the one that I throw 90% of the time, it just gets eaten. It's just such a universal bait. I mean, it's crazy. It looks weird. It's like the end of a broom handle, right? It's just a chunk of cedar, a blade on the back, hook, spreader bars. There's not a lot going on here, but the beauty of this bait is just the triggering capabilities it has. And what I mean by that, you fish it slow, and that's basically what gets fish to eat it. Is you fish it so slow that they have to eat it. And in fact, one of the added benefits to fishing super slow is if you have a fish waking on the bait, you can do all kinds of stuff because you have so much time in your retrieve coming back to the boat. So you can do all kinds of direction changes, speed up, slow down, and make the fish eat, which is really, really cool. And it just keeps getting bit. And I don't know what it is, but this bait has put the most topwater fish I've ever seen in my boat or in my friends' boats fishing with them than any other surface baits. And that being said, I've thrown a lot of different surface baits, creepers, wobblers, tail baits. This thing just smashes fish. It doesn't seem to smash them everywhere, but it's caught so many stinking fish. It's caught 3 50+ inch fish in Madison the last 2 years that I'm aware of. There's probably more, but the thing just crushes. I absolutely love it. You definitely owe it to yourself to have a flap tail, even if it's not a Lee Lures flap tail, but to have a flap tail in your arsenal. It is such a dangerous bait. It's amazing, and it had to make the list. So that's basically it. That's my top bait lineup from 2020. No, they weren't things that were super new, super innovative, but just things that work and continue to work. So anyways, hopefully this wasn't the worst video you've seen all day. And if you would, drop some comments below. Let me know what maybe you had a lot of success on this year, or what you didn't have success with, or if any of these baits that I mentioned here, if you have questions about them, if they weren't working right, or something was off, I'll do the best I can to answer them. Otherwise, someone else in the comments might be able to help you out. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully this wasn't the worst thing you watched all day, and we will see you guys on the next video.